is Howie going to screw himself by asking for too much for A.J. Brown? So here is Jeff McClain and Albert Breer on the Uncovering the Birds podcast.
The way the Eagles view this is like, and the comp I think they're using, and I've heard a 1 and a top 100 pick on top of it. The comp there that they're using is Davante Adams, being traded from the Packers to the Raiders, which if you remember that year, it was a 1 and a 2. And it was a current year 1 and 2, which is an important piece of it too. And Davante Adams at that point was an older player. I'm not sure I'd have to look up how old he was, but I think he was over 30, which is why the Eagles are using that as the comp. I think what a lot of teams would counter with is that no, the comp is closer to Stefon Diggs, not the first Diggs trade from Minnesota to Buffalo, but the second one from Buffalo to Houston, which was a second round pick, but it was like the next year's second round pick and then a pick swap. I think it was a 5-6 pick swap. So like the idea of that's a pretty significant gap.
So, it's worth noting the Diggs thing also was a receiver that they needed to get out of town because of the relationship between the quarterback and the wide receiver. I think that's what makes the Stefon Diggs trade a little more similar than the Davante Adams trade. Look, it seems like it is down to New England and Baltimore. DJ Moore just went to the Buffalo Bills, and the trade was DJ Moore for a DJ Moore and a fifth round pick for a second round pick.
Yes.
So it wasn't just a second, whatever. The fifth round pick lowers the value of the second a little bit because they added a little bit more. It is a little nerve wracking. If it is down to two teams, and who knows how interested Baltimore is. We all believe New England is interested. Mm-hmm. If it ends up,
Baltimore should be interested.
They should be.
Does that feel like a bluff?
Well, I don't know.
Like the Eagles putting out there, hey, the Ravens could get in on this to try to pry the most out of the Patriots?
Could be.
Because if it is a bluff and the only team is really New England, then you have a true standoff because you have New England who thinks the Eagles need to get rid of A.J. Brown, and then you have the Eagles who believe New England needs A.J. Brown, especially in the wake of them releasing Stefon Diggs.
Yes.
Now, nobody here thinks they released Stefon Diggs so they could trade for A.J. Brown. We believe they released Stefon Diggs because of what he had going on otherwise, but it certainly creates a need. I'm not, I guess I wouldn't say I am sure that they're screwing themselves by asking for so much, but I do believe that if Howie misjudged the market, that it could end up being a problem. And not that he can't get a trade done, but he could end up having to take a lot less than he may have if he had maybe a more reasonable expectation going into it. May have been able to get that. But if he ends up in a standoff, then it just becomes a game of chicken,
Yeah. And you don't believe an option to bring AJ back is a valuable option.
Not to me.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, not to me.
I wonder if the Eagles believe that.
Yeah.
I truly do. And that really is the sticking point in all this. Well, part of it is how badly does AJ want to be out of here? And then the Eagles, how eager are they to move on from AJ versus just saying, bleep it, we'll keep him for a year.
We tried.
He's better served being with us than taking some low-end pick. That's a great question, man. I do believe the asking price may be too high.
But a 1 and a 2 sounds high.
Only way Howie, for lack of a better way of phrasing it, is hurting himself. Put it that way. I'll put it that way. Hurting himself as far as the ability to move AJ. The only way he's doing that is if they want to move AJ.
Right. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes. If they believe they have to.
Yes. And so then I would believe he would have to lower his price at some point. And you take the best deal you can get out there. This trading market, AJ, we know how good AJ is and what he's done for the Eagles, but what someone may be viewing it on the outside, they may not be viewing it that way and saying, they may be saying to themselves, we'd love to have AJ at the right price.
Sure, yeah.
He's a good player. We'd love to have him. but we're not going to overspend for him. It's almost like the Eagles not wanting to go get Max Crosby. Yeah, they'll take Max Crosby for the right price, but are you willing to step up and offer potential multiple first-round picks to get Max Crosby?
I also wonder if the Eagles thought there would be a larger market for AJ, meaning more teams.
I thought it would be.
Because the more teams that are involved, the more you can, have them play off against each other and get the price up. If there's only now 2 teams is good, 1 team is bad. 2 teams is good, 3 teams is better. I wonder if people checked in. I also wonder if he scared the market off by leaking out how high the price was, and there were a lot of teams that were maybe the sort of thing that you're talking about, like, hey, maybe we get AJ for a third, and they heard the price and they were like, nah, I'm not playing that game. And I do think it comes into play a little bit, and I've said this a few times, where if other GMs perceive that Howie Roseman always gets the public credit for winning deals, then I think it is less likely that they want to lose a deal. And I think it's just human. And I think you have to deal with your own reputation of winning trades, I think can work against you sometimes. And you're right. Like the Eagles, if they're willing to bring him back, it's almost like having another team in the bidding. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But if they're not, and nobody knows how willing they are. And
how willing AJ wants to come back.
Yeah, and
that's the other thing.
Yes, that's what I think. Ultimately, how badly he wants to be out of here is a large part of the calculus of how willing they are to bring him back. Because my gut would tell me they'd rather have A.J. Brown than not have A.J. Brown, especially if they don't think the knee thing. If they think that last year was an aberration, was him being unhappy, not him just not being as good as he used to be. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that is the third question of 3-Question Thursday. Do you think the Eagles are hurting themselves in the A.J. Brown trade market by asking for too much and scaring teams off?